In their heads, as I said recently, Africa belongs to them. Our lands belong to them. The riches of Africa are for them. They cannot conceive that Africans can emancipate themselves, get their heads out of the water, and therefore want to keep their heads. And for that, they have put a cliché C in their heads. The African is easy to manipulate. He is only emotion. They will always find an African to fight against his brother. And it has always been like that. Through communication, they have led you to hate your own skin color. In our cultures and in many cultures in Burkina Faso, mourning is symbolized by the color blue. When a woman loses her husband, she wears blue clothes to mourn for a while. It is they who came to tell you that black symbolizes mourning, the devil, mediocrity, all that is bad. And unfortunately, we have swallowed it so much that when we are in mourning, we also wear black. We have to wake up. We have to wake up because this is the cliché that they have in their heads. They are the empire of good. Others are the empire of evil. And we are the empire of slaves. This is how imperialists see the world. You have to understand that. And here I am.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dash Lifestyle. Kindly for watching me for the first time, remember to subscribe, like, share, and also comment. To my returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming back and watching my video. Thank you so much for the love and support. So guys, let us continue watching this revolution speech from Ibrahim Traore. Then I'll be back with more comments.
I'm going to make comrades, fighters for freedom, for sovereignty and real independence. Hello. Let us give thanks to God who allowed this day to take place, and that we can meet again in this pool of the Palace of Sports to talk about the future of our country. At the end of your decision on May 25th to entrust us with the destiny of our country for 5 more years, be happy. Thank you. We do not see this as a mandate, but we have understood it as a message that has been passed to us, and the message has been very well received, and we will do everything to always deserve your trust. Allow me also to pay a vibrant tribute to all these forces of defense, these forces of internal security, our voluntary guardians, for the defense of the country and all these populations who live in these areas at the risk of security and who stand up. We pay tribute to them and we say thank you for all the sacrifices made for our country. I ask you that we can observe a minute of silence to honor the memory of all those who lost their lives in this fight. May the souls of the dead rest in peace, and may the wounded find good healing. Comrades, the emotion is great, certainly. But allow me to articulate my words in 3 phases. The first phase will concern the stage from which I will explain to you how we see this world. The second phase will explain to you why we must continue to fight. And the most important stage will be to give you a summary of our vision for the future, if I may put it this way.
Durant ces 20 et quelques mois passés donc à la tête de l'État, nous avons eu
During
à
these
rencontrer
20-some months, we have met
plusieurs
several
hommes
politicians
politiques
from all over the world.
venus de toutes parts. Nous avons rencontré
We
des
met hundreds of
centaines de
diplomats from
diplomates
all over
venus
the
de toutes
world.
parts. Nous avons rencontré des hommes d'affaires venus
We
d'un
met
peu
businessmen
partout.
from all over the
Nous
world.
avons été ouverts à tous ces échanges,
We have been
à toutes
open
ces
to all these
discussions
exchanges,
pour pouvoir
to all these
apprendre
discussions,
du monde, pour
to
pouvoir
be able to
comprendre
learn
le
from the
monde.
world,
Et
to be able
aujourd'hui,
to
je pense que
understand the
l'occasion est
world.
très belle pour que je puisse vous expliquer
And today I
quelles
think this is a
conclusions
great
nous avons
opportunity
tirées
for me to explain to you the
de ces
conclusion we have
rendez-vous que nous avons eus
drawn
avec des hommes politiques
from all these
de tous
meetings
les
we have had
continents,
with
des
politicians
diplomates
from
de
all over the
tous les
world,
continents.
diplomats from all over
C'est
the
très
world.
important. La conclusion
It is
que nous
very
avons
important,
tirée,
the conclusion we
ça
have
doit vous
drawn,
permettre de comprendre le monde.
and it must allow you to understand the world.
Dans nos contrées, nous n'avons pas cette
Because often in our countries, we do not have this perspective of being able to have access to certain people who will teach you many things through their behavior, through their words, and also by telling you how they see us.
Camarades, Dieu a créé le monde avec tout
Comrades,
ce qu'il y a,
God created the world with all that there is, like happiness, like misfortune, like good, like evil, humans, geniuses, animals, and everything that goes with it.
mais nous humains avons décidé
But we humans have decided to make the world something else.
chez les impérialistes, ils ont une
The
vision
imperialists have a vision of the world that I am going to explain to you.
Le monde se résume en un triangle pour eux.
The world is summed up in a triangle for
Par
them.
leurs insignes. Peut-être que vous ne
You will
comprenez
see
pas,
the triangle in
le
most of their
monde se
signs.
résume en un triangle.
Maybe you don't understand, but the world is summed up in a triangle.
Se trouve l'empire du bien.
For them, at the top of the triangle is the empire of good,
C'est la prospérité.
and the empire of good is them.
Tout ce qui est positif.
It
c'est
is
eux qui ont droit
prosperity.
à tout
It
ce
is
qui est
all
bon
that
dans
is
ce monde.
positive.
C'est eux qui ont droit à toutes les richesses.
It is them who have the right
D'imposer leur
to
manière
all
de
that
voir
is
le monde,
happiness in this world.
d'imposer leur vision, leur mode de vie.
It is them who have the right to all the riches.
Ou leur conquête, je dirais, ils
It is
veulent
up to
faire
them to impose their way of seeing the world.
Parce que pour eux, nous sommes des sauvages.
It is up to them to impose their vision, their way of life.
Donc,
This is why during the colonization, or their conquest, I would say, they came to our lands and said that they had discovered our
ils s'arrogent
lands.
tous les droits. Et pour eux,
Because
le
for
monde doit
them,
marcher.
we are savages. We have nothing like them, in fact. So they called us indigenous people. And it is them, the people. They have all the rights. And for them, the world must work as they wish. It is simple.
Pour les faire comprendre qu'ils sont les meilleurs.
I will take a few examples. Look through their films. They have prepared the spirit of their people to make them understand that they are the best. It is them who must possess everything. You will not say the opposite. In all their films that they propagate, you will always find the bad guys. It is either the Russians or the South Americans or the blacks who play the bad role of drug traffickers, of proxies, of human traffickers. Until a recent past, of course, you will find the Arabs who play the role of terrorists. This is how they perceive the world.
Quand je prends sur le volet économique,
When I look at the economic aspect,
parmi nous n'a pas traité
who among us did not treat the Chinese products as bad products?
comme on aimait l'appeler, de mauvais produits.
But today I can tell you that we are wrong,
Qu'on a tout tort.
because China has a fairly advanced level of technology.
Technologie assez avancée. Et c'est en Chine que la
And it is in China that most of these countries come to supply, put their mark on it, and resell us as their property.
Regardez autour de vous. Nos
Look around you.
entrepreneurs qui sont dans le
Look at
BTP
us.
ne diront pas le contraire. Tous leurs
Our
agents,
entrepreneurs who are in the BTP will not say the opposite.
ceux qui font le transport ne diront pas le contraire. Ils nous
All
ont
their
dit,
machines today are Chinese. Those who do transport will not say the opposite.
pour chercher des entreprises, pour chercher des
They lied to us because we went around the world in these 20 months to look for companies, to look for factories, and we understood that everything came back there. But through their communication, they led us to hate all Chinese products and to make us understand that what is good came from them, not necessarily from elsewhere.
Pour mieux comprendre ce que je
It's
dirais,
simple. Let's go back in time. To better understand what I will say, we need to go back in time. And I hope that some will read who are the Tsars, the Mongol conquests, the Persian, Turkish, and Ottoman empires.
lisez leur histoire, vous comprendrez
Read their history. You will understand why the world is like this. At the base of the triangle, there are two empires.
il y a deux empires.
On one side, the empire of evil, according to them,
Et l'empire des esclaves de l'autre côté.
and the empire of slaves on the other side. This is how they see the
Qui est-ce
world.
qu'ils appellent l'empire du mal? Ceux dont je viens de citer
Who do they call the empire of evil?
l'origine, et je vous ai dit de remonter le temps.
Those whom I have just mentioned. I told you to go back in time. Go and read. You will understand why they are the empire of evil in their eyes. They fight the empire of evil.
Eux, l'empire du mal incarne le diable.
For them, the empire of evil must disappear.
Combattre leur peuple ainsi. Voilà
For them, the
pourquoi
empire of evil embodies the devil.
80, je prendrai
They communicate and make their people understand this way. This is why after the Second World War, in the 1980s, I would take the case of Russia, where all the strategies were implemented to crush it with President Gorbachev.
États-Unis, c'est le président Ronald Reagan.
In the United States, it was President Ronald Reagan who was at the helm.
ont retenu notre attention.
Three main strategies have caught our
Au
attention.
niveau de l'Arabie Saoudite, les demander
They went to Saudi Arabia and asked them to lower the price of oil from $35 to $7 to make the Russian economy collapse.
parallèlement à cela. Le deuxième stratagème,
At the same time, the second strategy, AEEURs, don't forget something, AEEUR, is the same people who have just left Afghanistan claiming that they were fighting the Taliban.
Les talibans ont été reçus
The Taliban were received by President Ronald Reagan at the White House.
armés par la CIA. Les fameux missiles Stinger sol-air ont été livrés aux talibans.
They were armed by the CIA. The famous Stinger missiles, the Solar, were delivered to the Taliban to fight the Russians.
Le troisième stratagème, c'est
Later, they came to fight them. Try to understand. The third strategy was a bluff. The IDS project, Star Wars. Read it. You will understand why. They led President Gorbachev to create the Palace Project, which crushed Russia.
une fois que la Russie s'est effondrée,
Once Russia collapsed,
les aides de l'empire du bien ont commencé à jubiler.
those who claimed to be from the empire of good began to juggle, until this team came along with Vladimir Putin to try to bring Russia back to the surface.
L'empire du mal. L'empire du mal, selon eux, a beaucoup souffert.
The empire of evil, according to them, suffered a lot.
Toutes les sanctions possibles.
Look at Iran today. Look at all the possible sanctions.
Par la communication,
Look at how they qualify certain peoples. Through communication, they can lead you to hate a people or to love a people.
dans la communication. Et ils passent par tous les canaux.
They are very strong in communication, and they go through all possible channels.
Ils ont
Look at the ongoing war. They invented everything for their own interest.
Et enfin,
And finally, the empire of slaves.
selon eux, c'est l'Afrique et certains
According to them, it is Africa and certain peoples of South America.
Comme je le disais dernièrement, l'Afrique les appartient. Nos terres les appartiennent.
In their heads, as I said recently, Africa belongs to them. Our lands belong to them. The riches of Africa are for them. They cannot conceive that Africans can emancipate themselves, get their heads out of the water, and therefore want to keep their heads. And for that, they have put a cliché C in their heads.
Pour lutter contre son frère.
The African is easy to manipulate. He is only emotion. They will always find an African to fight against his brother.
Par la
And it has always been like that.
ils vous
Through
ont
communication,
amené à
they have led you to hate your own skin color.
Dans nos cultures et dans beaucoup de
In our
cultures,
cultures and in many cultures in Burkina Faso,
deuil était symbolisé par la couleur bleue.
mourning is symbolized by the color blue.
Elle portait donc des tenues de couleur bleue.
When a woman loses her husband, she wears blue clothes to mourn for a while.
Que le noir symbolise le deuil.
It is they who came to tell you that black symbolizes mourning,
Malheureusement, nous avons tellement
the
avalé
devil,
ça,
mediocrity,
nous sommes en deuil,
all that is
nous mettons
bad.
également en noir.
And unfortunately, we have swallowed it so much that when we are in mourning, we also wear black. We have to wake up. We have to wake up because this is the cliche that they have in their heads.
D'autres sont l'empire du mal,
They are the empire of good.
des esclaves.
Others are the empire of evil. And we are the empire of slaves. This is how imperialists see the world.
Et là, je m'en vais faire
You
un
have to
communiqué
understand that. And here I am going to make a big deal at the place of some intellectuals who continue to want to preach for the imperialists. Do they ignore this part of history?
Est-ce qu'ils ignorent cette partie de l'histoire? Je n'invente rien. Ça a été
I am not inventing anything.
Ce que j'ai dit dans les bibliothèques,
It has been declassified.
partout sur les moteurs de recherche.
You will find everything I said in the libraries or everywhere on the search engines. Have these intellectuals not read this?
Peut-être par malhonnêteté ou quelques billets de dollars.
Do they not know the history of this world? Maybe it is by dishonesty or a few dollars that leads them to always preach for the imperialists.
Conscientiser nos peuples, nos masses populaires pour
They have always preached to raise awareness of our people, our popular masses, so that they understand where they come from and how they are seen by the imperialists.
Prenons l'histoire de quelques guerres. Vous avez
Let's
suivi
take
la
the history of a few wars. You have followed the Iraq War, a big lie that has been invented, supposedly of possession of weapons of mass destruction.
Au niveau des États-Unis,
Some senators in the United States did everything to get evidence. They did not get it.
plusieurs personnes ont démissionné de la CIA après cette guerre.
Remember that several people resigned from the CIA after this war.
Des services secrets occidentaux les ont
Evidence has been invented everywhere. Occidental secret services helped them to fabricate evidence.
accusés en son temps.
We remember that Nigeria was accused of setting up a false convention to sell uranium to Iraq. It is the same process that they used to say that Nigeria was selling uranium to Iran. They have already seen it. They have pretexted this and have not had evidence.
Ils n'ont pas eu de preuves. Même les Nations Unies
Even the United Nations found no tangible evidence of the presence of weapons of mass destruction.
ils avaient leur objectif, il fallait détruire l'Irak. Ils ont détruit l'Irak.
But they had their objective to destroy Iraq. They destroyed Iraq. They created the Islamic State to come and fight it.
Et après, ils prétendent
Understand the game.
comprenez le jeu.
It only lasted too long. We have to wake up and understand all this
Tout ça, et que nous prenions
so that we become aware of our situation and fight for our future.
Toutes ces guerres ont été inventées, passant par l'Irak.
All these wars have been invented through Iraq, Syria, Libya, and the Middle East for their own benefit because no one can equal them.
C'est ce que nous vivons aujourd'hui dans le Sahel aussi à travers le terrorisme.
This is what we live in the Sahel through the terrorism that they have imposed because they will always find black people who will get excited and take up arms against their black brothers.
C'est ce que nous vivons. Et n'ont jamais quitté ce modèle. Malheureusement, beaucoup
This is what we live and never leave this model. This is why they fight against their brothers.
très moins cher à l'impérialiste et ils se mettent
I wanted to make this little history
Je voulais faire ce petit historique du monde pour que
so
vous
that you
compreniez
understand
comment
how imperialism sees our world.
Ça se résume en ce petit triangle.
It is summarized in this little triangle.
Dans cette deuxième phase, je dois vous expliquer pourquoi nous devons
In this
combattre.
second phase, I have to explain why we have to
Une
fight.
petite histoire.
A little
En
story.
2015, à Tombouctou. Lorsque nous avons rencontré
In 2015, in Tombouctou, when we met, I was in charge of the airport platform.
Dans les patrouilles, nous avons rencontré des individus qui rôdaient autour.
In the patrol, we met individuals who were walking around. One of these individuals was a Manchurian.
C'était dangereux.
I made him understand that it was dangerous to walk around the base because they could be killed.
Il m'a dit qu'il voulait se faire tuer, il voulait mourir.
He told me that he wanted to be killed. He wanted to die.
Certains
I tried to understand their story.
étaient normaux, mais ils cherchaient à mourir à cause du terrorisme. Ils nous ont expliqué que lorsque les
Why did the
terroristes
terrorists come to
sont arrivés à
Tombouctou?
Tombouctou, Le manchot qui m'expliquait ça,
One, the Manchurian who explained this to
les
me,
terroristes se sont pointés à son domicile.
one evening,
On
the
voulait
terrorists came to his
violer
house.
sa femme devant lui. Il s'est opposé.
They wanted to rape his wife in front of him.
Le lendemain, on est venu le pêcher à la maison. La menace
He opposed it.
publique.
They left.
Accusé de vol, on a tranché sa main.
The next day, we came to take him home. We took him to the public square. We accused him of theft. We cut his hand. We beat him. He left home. His 16-year-old son took care of his hand.
Ils ont continué à violer sa femme pendant des jours.
They came back, they raped his wife, and took his son
Ils ont
away.
amené son fils.
They continued to rape his wife for days until the woman committed suicide.
Voilà pourquoi il marche autour les jours que
They took his son away. He never found him again. He preferred to die. This is why he walks around with a gun pointed at him. It will please him.
ils ont été enlevés de chez eux parce qu'ils refusaient que les terroristes touchent à leurs femmes ou à leurs
Others experienced the same fate. They were taken away from their homes because they refused that the terrorists touch their women or daughters.
Après, ils allaient faire leurs sales besognes. Beaucoup de familles ont été détruites ainsi.
The next day, we came to take them away. We took them to the public square. We beat them to death. After that, they went to do their dirty business. Many families were destroyed. These are criminals who are armed and who sow desolation in our countries. They do it in the name of no religion. Unfortunately, here in Burkina Faso, some villages have been compromised by these individuals.
Parle en connaissance de cause. En 2022 à côté,
I speak as a cause.
en unité dans un village parce qu'ils ne voulaient pas que nous restions.
In 2022, I was searched with my unit in a village because they did not want us to stay there because they had a good agreement with the
Plusieurs
terrorists.
autres unités sont témoins.
Those who listen to me know what we are talking about. Several other units are witnesses. Some villages have categorically that the FDS make noise because they have a good relationship with the terrorists.
Avec ces criminels, parce que c'est eux qui décident du jour où le pacte se rompt.
We made them understand that there is no possible alliance with these criminals because they decide to end the pact. When the pact was broken, they came back to the social networks to call for help. We went there. But it is to say that no matter what they come to tell you, no matter the possible flattery, no matter the pact you sign with them, the day they decide to end the pact, they will come to kill and end the pact. There is no possible alliance with the terrorists. There is no possible alliance with these criminals.
Avec ces criminels, ils sont à combattre. Un point, c'est tout. Aujourd'hui, nous
There is no possible alliance today. We see a phenomenon, unfortunately, in our cities.
à passer de cour en cour.
Some people like to go from one court to another to make their wives of certain FDS and certain VDP understand that the families of certain people who fell for the country had a peaceful solution with the terrorists.
Solution pacifique avec les terroristes, c'est nous qui avons voulu faire la guerre. Voilà pourquoi tout ça se passe.
We wanted to wage war, and that is why all this is happening.
Voyant tout ce qui se passe, comprenant le monde, peuvent avoir des
How can human beings, seeing all that is happening, understanding the world, have such words?
soit nous les combattons ou ils nous combattent. C'est tout.
Do not be mistaken. Either we fight them or they fight us. That's all.
Les gens se cachent. Ces gens se cachent soi-disant derrière un semblant de
These
dialogue.
people are hiding behind a semblance of dialogue or negotiation.
Ils vont vous ramener à traîner dans la boue. C'est ça l'objectif de
They are going to drag you into the mud. That is the goal of imperialism, that the plague lasts, that it lasts in time, that your states are not structured, and that we continue to take advantage of your riches. The more it lasts, the more it arranges them. And unfortunately, these individuals who go from course to course play the game of the imperialists. If they lie to me, let them stop now, because they will fight themselves. We have no choice but to fight, and we have opted for combat, and that is where we will be free, that we will be truly independent. To do this, we have taken care of diagnosing the deep problem of Burkina Faso. I admit that the problem is real and deep. Evil is there.
Plusieurs nœuds ont été défaits.
We have diagnosed it, and we are discovering the system day by day. Many knots have been undone, but knots remain to be undone, because every day that God does, we discover certain practices. I can understand.
Dans nos ADN. Mais il faut que nous arrivions
For several decades, this system has been installed. It has become like a gene in our DNA. But we have to remove this gene from our DNA and be able to build a new Burkina Faso.
m'en vais donc donner des lignes directrices.
That is why in the third phase of my speech, I am going to give guidelines in certain key areas. We will not give any details on our program, if we can put it that way, because when the program is known in detail, they will anticipate, they will put obstacles in our way and prevent us from reaching our goals.
Mais nous pouvons donc nous résumer en
But we can therefore sum up in a few words.
Parlant donc du domaine de la défense et de la sécurité, comme vous le constatez, nous avons opté pour
Speaking of the field of defense and security, as you can see, we have opted for combat, and for that we have almost doubled the number of troops in our armed forces.
Je pense que dernièrement des recrutements ont été lancés côté officiers et sous-officiers et bientôt dans quelques jours le recrutement
We continue to recruit, and I think that recently recruitment has been launched on the side of officers and non-officers, and soon in a few days recruitment for at least 10,000 soldiers should be launched.
parce que où que vous soyez, malgré le recrutement
We will continue to strengthen our troops in order to face the fact that wherever you are, despite the recruitment that has been done, there is always a need for soldiers. Everywhere in Burkina Faso, some villages continue to want military presence. So there is a need to continue to recruit and equip.
Depuis janvier 2023, nous avons pu lancer un programme
And I can assure you that we are on this launch. Since January 2023, we have been able to launch a program of equipment. It's true, the world is crazy. There is war everywhere.
qui a fait
No nation takes its equipment and sells it. We make it for
les
you.
premiers ont commencé à venir comme vous avez pu le constater la dernière fois.
What made these equipment last for almost 18 months? But the first ones started to come, as you have seen the last time, and the equipment will continue to come. Because we want the level of our army to reach a level never equaled in the sub-region.
Ce programme d'équipement va se poursuivre.
This equipment program will continue, and it's you, the actors of this program. Because since we fought, I can tell you these so-called friends of Burkina who have been there for a long time, who suck our wealth, even a single cartridge of Kalashnikov we have not received from anyone to make our fight. It's you who pay, and we will continue to work with our people to be able to lead this fight. We have partners who have accepted to sell us equipment and who have even proposed to be able to deliver us strategic equipment and that we can pay in time. We thank them for this gesture. And we also say thank you to the people who understood the meaning of the fight, that we have to fight. If we don't fight, they will come looking for us at home, like in a chicken coop or in a sheepfold. Every morning they will choose who they want to go and execute on the public square to scare others, to go and cut hands or feet on the public square to scare others. This is their tactic. We are going to fight, and we will give ourselves the means to get there. If it happens tomorrow that we are stuck in a certain spear, we will still come to the people and ask for even more sacrifices to be able to reach the goal. Because despite your contributions, I told you earlier, some powers have refused to sell us equipment. They have blocked the equipment that we have bought in some countries because they have the license of some components. And these powers exploit minerals in Burkina Faso. I say it here loudly and solemnly. It will stop. We are going to withdraw exploitation permits. We will not allow this. We will not allow this. You cannot exploit our resources and refuse to sell us equipment, to block our equipment. We are not going to accept this.
qu'ils s'attendent, nous allons
We are going to
permis
withdraw our
d'exploitation
exploitation
et nous allons
permits,
l'exploiter nous-mêmes.
and we are going to exploit them ourselves.
Revenant. Pour conclure sur le volet donc de la défense,
We are going to
nous n'allons
withdraw
pas
our
trop
exploitation
nous étaler
permits,
là-dessus.
and we are going to
Mais
exploit them
sachez que
ourselves.
Tout ce qui est déjà arrivé, les hommes sont en formation.
And we are going to overcome this terrorism here in Burkina Faso and even in the EU.
Beaucoup de stratégies ont été déjà écrites et nous les
During a long
adaptons
period of
sur les
time,
mesures de
we have spent
comportement
time
des
keeping an eye on a number of
pays. Et nous
actors.
allons vaincre
But we have understood that the phenomenon is so profound.
ici au Burkina et
Corruption,
même dans l'AES.
bad governance in various administrations, lack of ethics persist. Some bodies have been put in place in the context of the fight against corruption, and recently some arrests have been made in the context of denunciations. The last act will be made before the end of this month. It is an organ that will have to sit in all ministries to self-seize certain dysfunctions, acts of corruption, and be able to act. And these organs will be ready, because we have a lot of big workers also in the administration, but they are often put in the shadows, because for a long time, they are the most corrupt, the most dishonest, who have been put in the light. It is they who benefit from all the advantages. And so I tell the workers to pay attention to these individuals who are losing their privileges.
De gros travailleurs aussi dans l'administration, mais qui sont mis à l'ombre, qui sont souvent mis à l'écart.
Because they will continue to manipulate you, to intoxicate you, and to send you into bad patches.
Et je dis donc aux travailleurs de faire attention à ces individus qui sont en train de perdre leur
Pay close attention to these individuals who are losing their privileges,
et de vous envoyer dans de mauvais pâturages.
because we will not allow a so-called elite that had been programmed to take up all the rights in our different administrations.
Une soi-disant élite donc qui avait été
The last organ will be put in place before the end of this month, and real work will begin.
Le dernier organe sera mis en place.
You will hear a little bit everywhere at the end of this that we do not respect certain texts, we do not respect certain laws, but there are no laws or texts that stand in the struggle when it is for the interest of the country. Let them stand up and say we will go in this direction. We have adopted a line of conduct. We are making a diagnosis, verifying the presence and seeing the needs. It is not excluded that during the year some contests are launched to increase the number of employees in certain places. Of course, there was a wave of contests that were launched, but in all areas they are making the point that if there is a need, we will continue to recruit to be at an acceptable level and to be able to operate the different organs of the country for the happiness of the masses. In the field of diplomacy, we have opted for a common diplomacy in the AES. All decisions regarding partners, whether African or foreign, will be taken unanimously within the AES. But we have also opted for a diplomacy of truth. We do not intend to put ourselves in certain logics, to lie, or to cover reality. Saying that it is diplomacy, it is false. It is not diplomacy. I can tell you that what you see as a superstructure when people come to the audience and come out to speak is only a visible part of the iceberg. What happened inside, in the windows, has nothing to do with diplomacy. We are therefore inscribed in this logic to say things clearly to the people. Some will criticize us. Others will even say that a head of state should not speak like that. A head of state should not do that. But we tell them that maybe these people who criticize in this way when we speak the truth. Maybe they have a school where they have learned how to be a head of state, how a head of state should be. Otherwise, I have not yet seen the school. Why do we necessarily have to do like others? We want to create our model, our identity. I think that Burkina Faso, by definition, is the whole man. We want the truth. And when the truth comes out, even if we have made a mistake, we must have the courage to come and tell you on which side we have made a mistake. We ask for forgiveness. If you forgive us, you forgive us. We no longer want to be inscribed in this false diplomacy. In an interview, when I spoke to you about the Ivorian regime, some Burkinabés climbed on their horses and criticized. I say it, I insist, and I persist. We have nothing against the Ivorian people, but we have something with those who rule the Ivory Coast. We say it, and we repeat it again. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. In Abidjan, there is a center of operations to destabilize our country. No one can deny it, and we will prove it to you in the coming days. We will show you physical evidence. You will understand what we are talking about. No one will come and tell us that in Benin, there is no French base directed against us. We have the evidence in our hands. 2 important bases. No one can deny it, and I challenge it. We have nothing against the Benin people. We have a problem with the policy of the Benin leaders. We say it again. We say it again. In this diplomacy, we have decided to tell the truth. There are 2 bases, one to Kandy and the other to Porga, or I don't know which locality. Tracks have been redeveloped to more than 3,000 meters long. Planes land. People train and train terrorists there. We have audio recordings of French agents in Benin who play the center of terrorist operations. They carry out operations with them. They help them heal. They do everything there. We have all the details about them. And you don't want us to tell our people? We will say it. If you don't want it, if they don't want it, let them stop behaving like this. It's simple. We have not forced anyone to take their independence. If you decide to stay in your situation, but don't take your countries to make bases there, because it is your populations who will suffer afterwards, and it is not a good policy. We say it by experience, and I always repeat it. Burkina Faso has been a base to destabilize some countries, and it is not good. Burkina Faso was a base for terrorists here. This is the price we pay to prevent the people of this country, who I speak of, to speak to their leaders and to stop this policy because it doesn't suit them at all. To come in the field of communication and culture, we have launched several initiatives. During the year 2024, you celebrated with us the month of local consumption. We had the traditional days, the month of heritage. Many activities have been carried out. We will continue to bring back our culture because this is where we find our identity. We will continue actions in this direction to enhance our culture, to enhance our customs, and to enhance the life of Burkina Faso. And we wish that everyone is an actor of the emergence of Burkina Faso through his way of communicating. Because everything is also in communication. You have recently followed the communication war that was waged against us, and it continues. It will not stop. And I wish that everyone who is in communication can be professional. When we want to make a communication act, we ask ourselves if it is for the country or against the country before making the act. No matter, you may not love us, my person, you may not love me, but you must love your country. By hurting me, you should not confuse the country. And so politics in the field of communication will have to go in this direction. and we will be forced to frame communication on all aspects. And it is this line of conduct that will be adopted. We will not allow Burkinabés to communicate against Burkina Faso. We will always have to be aware. We must be able to raise awareness so that people understand why we have to fight on all fronts. Returning to the field of agriculture, as you can see, we have launched initiatives since 2023, and this year the offensive has been launched. It is going more or less well. I would like people to understand that we have decided to give a large part of our budget and our time to the agricultural world, because more than 90% of our population is peasant. But for decades, they have never felt the interest in their public. And that is why we have decided to undertake a number of initiatives that we propose. We would like to be able to work on all the fields of all Burkina Faso peasants, to give them the seeds they need and allow them to have the necessary income to be able to help us in the fight against food insecurity. Because food self-sufficiency is a right. It is in this same sense that we have recently created the National Office for the Development of Hydro-Agricultural Dams. We are going to equip it because everyone is a witness in your different regions that we have retained a lot of dams, but which are sanded and blocked, and we have the possibility to build other dams. We are paying for the equipment for this office so that it can be deployed on the territory, and with the contribution of the population, we are going to be able to build a lot of dams and sand a lot of dams. We are going to continue this fight until we reach food self-sufficiency and that our populations can eat when they are hungry. In the fields of infrastructure, we have a crucial lack of roads. And by doing the analysis, we have found for some roads very old studies, and for others, there are no studies. We cannot build a road without having studies. Studies are preallable. That is why in this sector we have ordered the ministry to do a lot of studies on a lot of sections, which will allow us in the future to be able to launch work and do this work well so that it will be sustainable on a lot of sections. For this, we have noticed that the cost to build 1 kilometer of sections are around 500 million francs. So for 100 kilometers, with the sanitary works, we do not have less than 60 billion to build 100 kilometers of roads. It is very expensive and very expensive. The technique has been to create brigades of intervention of infrastructures. We are wanting to equip several brigades with the equipment to do the minimum and to allow the companies of the BTP to live and to play a part. We will share the burden to be able to reduce the expenses and to be able to do the maximum of roads possible. This has already started, and we will continue during these 5 years in this process, so that in all the regions we will be able to rally the maximum of leaders of the provinces, and that we will be able to sell our goods, and that people will be able to move safely. In the field of urbanism, we are in a process to be able to redesign our cities. If you notice, the cities are too big if we take Ouagadougou, but the sanitation infrastructures do not follow. This means that we walk in the mud and we do not have enough sanitation. This creates many diseases that can lead to epidemics. We have a process to be able to concentrate the cities through high-rise buildings. For this, we have a plan that we have established to be able to go from one neighborhood and concentrate the maximum and now extend to other neighborhoods. Certainly, if people are displaced in these neighborhoods, a lot of land will be freed to be able to draw good plans for our cities. We will start with the cities, a certain number of cities, and be able to extend it to all the other cities. Urbanism must be able to lead us to play on the field of health, because if urbanization is well done, there are a good number of diseases such as dengue, cholera, and certain diseases linked to dirty water that stagnate in our streets. We will therefore have a good result in the health field. This brings me to the field of health. We have decided for a long time to raise the technical plateau of a certain number of CHRs to equip certain centers with scanners and devices that can allow citizens to have adequate and low-cost exams. We will continue in this process. This is why we launched the health initiative at the Council of Past Ministers. It will be about creating what we have called community health centers. In these health centers, we have integrated a minimum of services that must be served to the population. It will be about imaging, that is, everything related to ultrasound and radiography, blood banks and laboratories, so that the populations of different provinces and municipalities do not have to move or need an ambulance for a blood transfusion to bring patients to certain centers, which may not happen because of the state of the road. This initiative has already been launched, and we will ensure that we can start before the end of the year the construction of the first centers and their equipment. We will continue this step by step to the limit of our means to be able to give a strong health system to all our populations. We do not want to see someone leave their locality to come to a health center for a radio or for a blood transfusion. So it is quite possible, because I come back to our imperialists who have been begging us for a long time to look at their simple hospitals for their animals, which are more equipped than our health centers. This is not conceivable. We can reach this level, and we have decided to fight to reach this level. The ministry has also been instructed to train the personnel necessary to equip these centers as we put them in place, because it requires committed professionals. And to be more precise, we have noticed that we have quite good doctors taking the example of those who operate the heart. We are therefore accompanying them to be able to have a well-equipped center and allow them to do some heart surgery on site because they have the capacity. We are waiting for their point of situation to be able to help them and support them. Many other specialties have proven themselves, and we will do everything to accompany them. In the initiative, we have also planned reanimation centers in some CHRs that do not have one, because after several operations, patients often die due to lack of reanimation centers. So it is a whole that we are putting in place to be able to strengthen the health systems. And we are convinced that if the Burkinabés eat to their fill and the urbanization is well done, we have already gained in terms of health on many levels, and we must now accompany them with the equipment. In the field of education, we have made the diagnosis, and as you know, our fellow students are here, and they will not say otherwise. How to leave these damaged buildings and how to rebuild the system? Well, we have come to a conclusion. We have also launched the initiative for quality education. It will integrate all areas from nursery to university. The first buildings will have to be built before the end of the year. We have opted for high-rise buildings to gather as many students as possible on given areas to allow a thorough and judicious control of education, because education is also education. And in the end, we will have complexes in most of our municipalities, ranging from nursery to high school and university centers, must also have increased capacity. When we take today our 3-class classrooms, which are built a little everywhere, the rainy season has begun, and the weather has shown us that this is not the right option. This is why we no longer want to build these isolated centers with small houses of 3 rooms, and we will move to high-rise buildings to have as many students in a given space, and the consequent framing for a quality education. Many other things will be initiated from primary school. We will return to some fundamental disciplines and therefore establish a certain number of values, to instill in the youngest from primary school, so that they are good citizens of tomorrow. There will therefore be a beginning of military training, civic and patriotic at a very young age, to be able to continue in high school. And the national program at the S&D level is changing. The text came to council, and we sent it back with amendments so that the workers who are currently active can also go to this center to have a military training, and it will be organized around the world in very specific periods. Everything is a matter of discipline, because by excellence, military training must be able to discipline people. So we are going to instill a certain number of values, AEUR plus AEUR, at the level of our education. Returning to the University Center before the end of the year, we are going to start the construction of a certain number of amphitheaters, and later, when the means allow it, we will go to the restoration and also the cities at the level of the different university centers. But we will start with the amphitheaters to allow them to have where to work, so that the gap that there is in terms of years that overlap can be considerably reduced. We have made a budgetary regulation that must therefore go to the Assembly this month to be able to initiate all these operations. What does that mean? It means that we have reduced the administration's operating expenses to be able to inject elsewhere, especially in education and health. This program is ready. It has been launched, and in the coming days, you will be witnesses of the evolution of everything that we are telling you. And we will continue this path throughout these 60 months that have been dedicated to us. Returning to the field of mines, as I said earlier, we have adopted a new policy. Burkina is full of many kinds of minerals, but there is still a mineral for which there are no more secrets for Burkina. And I would like to salute our brave miners who managed to enter the depths of our lands to extract this mineral. We have wondered why we should continue to let foreign multinationals come and mine our gold while we know how to exploit it ourselves. This is why we have ordered the ministry to reorganize the gold miners, and the government will take into account the exploitation of gold. Several permits, as I said, will be withdrawn from certain people, and we will exploit it ourselves. We will equip ourselves with a machine to do it. But even if we cannot equip ourselves in a consistent way, our gold miners have shown their courage and dedication. We will dig our own gold, and it will be for us in Burkina. For the other substances where we cannot, and of course our sincere partners who accept to accompany us in this fight, it is only to them that we can grant certain permits, because they have accepted to accompany us in the fight for our sovereignty, in the fight against terrorism. And we have enacted a new code for mining, which is currently in the Assembly, and I hope it will be voted on next week to impose a new model on different companies that will come to exploit gold here, so that the maximum profit is for the state. And in the field of energy, as you have seen, we have serious energy problems. The population growth has not been followed by an energy policy. Today, when the peak of heat arrives, there is permanent waste. Many activities suffer. We are in discussion with partners who are currently even in Burkina to be able to build in the emergency thermal power plants of very high capacity. And we want to see with them how we can reduce the construction delays. The discussion is currently on the reduction of construction delays and the financial model that we are going to put in place. We hope to achieve this while waiting for our process, which may seem long, of nuclear power plants to see the light of day. At this point, we can assure you that it is going very well, and we are trying to set up a unit here, if I may say, to train Burkinabés who must take over, who must follow the entire construction process and take over the transfer of skills. So it is going to take a fairly scientific process so that we can, in the future, when the power plant will be there in the near future, have the exclusive property of Burkinabe, have the Burkinabe engineers own it and put it into operation to be able to maintain it. When the conclusions of the discussions with the partners for the thermal power plant will come to light, we will make it available. And if we need you, we will tell you so that we can quickly implement this plan as well. Speaking of the economy, which is very important, we are in the process of setting up a process. The payment of the internal debt has started little by little with the smallest debts. The invoices of less than 100 million have been paid, and we are continuing as we go along because it must allow us to relieve the private sector and thus be able to restart the economy. Currently, we are going to turn quickly to the state societies. Their General Assembly has just finished. As you have seen, they are working very well, and they have achieved very good results. We are going to leave the state societies, tighten a little on their debt, relieve the internal debt, and turn the economy. So in the days to come, if God pleases, many entrepreneurs will have to be relieved after the convention with the state societies. Thank you very much. We are in the process of taking a certain independence. This must allow us to have a good number of resources in terms of finance, but also, and above all, the sector of industrialization, which must come to fill this sector of the economy, because we spend a lot abroad. We are now putting in place all the processes so that our currency does not go out. In the meantime, at the level of the state societies, as you have seen, we have decided to set up an investment bank and also a sovereign fund. The technicians are on this process. The reflection is ongoing, and we hope in the near future that they will present something of consequence. The other strategic area that I do not want to talk about, and which you know, we are moving forward serenely, and at the moment it will surprise you, and stay tuned. In the area of commerce and industrialization, we have also put in place, as I told you, as you can see, we have enumerated a good number of products.
So guys, I hope you have watched and listened to that revolution speech from President Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso. I really love Ibrahim Traore because he is always sending a unity message to all black people, to the black Americans, to the black people in the Caribbean, African people. He is calling all black people to wake up, to rise up. It is now the right time for us black people to unite. And what I love about Ibrahim Traore, he believes in unity. He believes if we black people will be coming together, we'll be more powerful than any other races. And that's why he always preach about revolution. Black people coming together, black people uniting. We have seen what Ibrahim Traore he has done in his country. He has achieved a lot in his short period of being president in Burkina Faso. We have seen Ibrahim Traore is now influencing some of the African leaders. They are now following what Ibrahim Traore is doing, not only in Africa, also in Caribbean, and also he wants some black leaders in United States, in Western country, our black leaders who they are in diaspora and he wants them also to follow the full step of him, how he's doing, because we believe we black people who have been brainwashed for a very long time. We black people, we have these people that have been taking us for granted. These other races, they have seen us black people as a stupid people. You have heard what Ibrahim Traore has said. These people, they came to our country, they colonized us. They came to our country, they are calling our country a third world country, and yet they're the ones who are making our country to be a third world country. They're the ones who are taking our minerals. They're the ones who are taking our resources from here in Africa. They're the ones who are destabilizing our African country. They're taking away our resources, and yet they're the ones also calling us as calling our country as a third world country, as a country whereby there is a lot of poverty, a country whereby there is a lot of struggle, people dying of hunger, while they are the ones who are doing all these things, what it is happening in Africa. Ibrahim Traore is opening our eyes as a black people to know that these people, it is now the right time for us to kick them out in our country. You have seen Ibrahim Traore, he has removed all the colonization, all the colonizer system in his country. He has kicked them out, and also he has shown us that we can still do it, we can still develop our country without depending to these Western people. You have seen Ibrahim Traore, he has come out and tell us, these people, they came and told us that when somebody, he or she has died, we wear black suit, we wear everything black, so that to present that it is a sad moment. But when somebody who is going to do a wedding, or he has a birthday, or he has an event, people wear white. So these people, they came out and say everything which it is bad, it is black. That's why we black people, we always wear black clothes when it is something bad, it has just happened. But if something it is good, it is white. So this is tell you that these people, they confuse us. They tell us that everything which it is bad, include our color, it is bad. But everything which it is white, include their color, as a white people, it is good. That's why up to date, some of us, we are still black people hating ourselves because of our color. And Ibrahim Traore is telling us that it is now the right time for us to accept ourselves, to move forward. We as black people, we know we are very strong. We have strong genes. These people, they always fear us because they know us black people, we are very strong. This is a revolution message to all black people. I've decided to share this message to all black people, the black people in the Caribbean, my people in United States, the black Americans, African American, and also my African people also, to follow the footsteps of Ibrahim Traore. Let us continue preaching the good thing that Ibrahim Traore is telling us black people. So kindly guys, I want this video to go viral. If you haven't liked this video, kindly like this video so that YouTube can push this video to a lot of people. And also remember to subscribe, and also you can just go and follow Africa is Power. This video, it is courtesy of Africa is Power. Go and also go and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll get more of Ibrahim Traore. So kindly guys, I'm signing out. Peace, love, and unity. See you on my next one. Bye bye.